Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this week we have a lot to talk about with iOS 18 as well as the upcoming iPads, maybe a March Apple event, and Apple Vision Pro launches this week as well. This is your weekly Apple news update for the week of January 29th, 2024. This past Tuesday, the Mac actually turned 40 years old. I used the first one, or at least I saw one that my father used, and my first Mac that I personally owned was the iBook G4 14-inch. I'm curious to know if you've owned a Mac, what was the first one you used as well? Apple also had a couple new videos for iPhone 15 and Apple Vision Pro this week. They posted them on YouTube. You can see them here where it says, "Hello, Apple Vision Pro." We have a new one called Swoop about the ceramic shield on iPhone 15, and also shot on iPhone 15 Pro for Chinese New Year called Little Garlic. So be sure to check those out if you haven't already. Some of them are pretty nice. The Vision Pro doesn't really show us anything more that we haven't seen already, though. However, supposedly those reviews will start coming out tomorrow. Now, you may have already seen I'm using a new browser. This is a new browser called Arc Search, and I really like it. If you want to search something, it's free. So if you want to search Apple Vision Pro and then just tap on Browse for Me, it uses AI and compiles its own website with 6 different web pages. Give it a moment here, and it will make a website for you with all the different information you probably want. So we'll give it a second to complete. It's giving haptic feedback in the phone, and you can see it's actually filling in the website itself. It's got information such as the overview, the price, the release date, availability, and it will continue to build the web page, and maybe it's a little slow as they're getting a lot of downloads right now, but it shows different images and more. So it's sort of a general overview, and you can do this with just about anything you're searching for. Also, if you were having problems this past week with Apple services, such as the App Store maybe not loading or you weren't able to install apps, you're not alone. They had a major outage that went on. So this affected everything from the App Store on iOS, iPad, and Mac, as well as Apple Music and Apple Care not showing up properly on iPhone. So that's been fixed since, and if you ever want to see the status of that, just go to a browser and search Apple System Status. You'll see it here. You can search for it, and then it will pop up. Give it a second here. You'll see System Status, and on the System Status page, it says all services are operating normally, but you can see if there's problems, and this typically updates in real time. So if you're having an issue, you can check that out there. Apparently, some people are experiencing an issue currently in the App Store where they're not able to see reviews. If we scroll down, you can see I have a bunch of different reviews here, but some people apparently don't see this at all. Let me know if you're experiencing this on your device. Also, another thing I wanted to mention is Apple Music Classical is now available in more countries. I talked about how it would be coming to different countries before, and now it's out in Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and China. So that's available in all of those different locations now. Every year, Apple has a new Swift Student Challenge, and this year is no different, with applications opening on February 5th, 2024, and they'll be available for 3 weeks. It says new for the 2024 challenge, out of 350 winners, we'll recognize 50 distinguished winners for their outstanding submissions and invite them to Apple in Cupertino for an extraordinary experience. Typically that happens at WWDC, and then they announce winners there and show all of the best apps submitted by students. So if you're interested in this, I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. We've also been waiting, and we've been promised more AAA games for the iPhone 15 Pro series. This year is no different, and this time around, it looks like Death Stranding is going to launch very soon. You'll see it here. It says coming soon, January 31st, 2024 for $19.99. So this will be available on iPhone as well as Mac and iPad. So if you're interested in that, you'll have that in just a couple days now. Now, according to MacRumors, Apple Vision Pro has a huge box, and it looks to be the size of 2 Mac Studio boxes combined. According to Ming Chi Kuo, the Apple Vision Pro is already sold up to 180,000 units. However, he expected only 80,000 to be available at launch, and it looks like in some cases, in different stores across the United States, it's still available for a day after or so pickup. If we go to the Apple Store, and in my local Apple Store, it's still available the day after it releases officially on February 3rd. So if you want to pick one up, this is available for the 512 and 1 terabyte options. They're still available in some stores. You'll just have to check your area after setting up your face scan and selecting your options. Now, I did want to mention a couple weekly Apple deals, and then we'll talk about Apple releases, including iOS 18. This week we have AirPods Pro 2, just like we have before, but they're not as discounted. They're only about $10 off. Also, the 15-inch MacBook Air is up to $300 off. So if you've been looking for one of these, they're available for a little bit less. I'll link that in the description, as well as discounted AirTags, Beats Studio Pro. So if you've been looking for those, Beats Studio Pro are now discounted or still discounted, as well as AirTags and more. So again, I'll link all of those in the description if you'd like to check them out. With iOS 17.4, we know that we're getting sideloading in the European Union. This includes 27 different countries. It does not include England. It doesn't include the United States or Japan or Australia. It's just the countries listed below, as you can see here, with Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, as well as Latvia, Italy, Lithuania, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden, and many others. So probably this will be pushed out around the world at some point, but right now it's just limited to those 27 countries. Now, this week we could see iOS 17.4 Beta 2. We don't know that 100%, as Apple never says for sure, but at this point we could see it as soon as Tuesday or Wednesday. If we don't see it this week, then we'll see it the following week. We don't know if we're on a 2-week schedule with this one, as this is more of a rapid release, as Apple has to get this ready by March to comply with the European Union laws. So we'll probably have something pretty quickly. I would expect betas probably every week, but they may change this up as they need to as we get closer to a final release. And then also we could see iOS 17.3.1 in between if they still have some major bug fixes to fix as well. Now, also Apple released a Safari technology preview. If we go to Apple's website, you can see the release version here, 187, released on January 24th, 2024. And it works with macOS Ventura or Sonoma and fixes quite a few things that the previous version did not. So be sure to download that if you're testing it out. Now, also this year, we're expecting iOS 18. I've mentioned in the past that I think that's going to probably be a large update, and this week it's confirmed. At this point, we know a couple different features. iOS 18 will include RCS messaging. Apple's already mentioned that. And we're also going to get Siri that is comparable to maybe ChatGPT in utilizing AI functionality. However, this time around, like I said, Mark Gurman has basically confirmed that he's being told that the new operating system is seen within the company as one of the biggest iOS updates, if not the biggest, in the company's history, or iPhone's history. That means maybe a major redesign, such as iOS 7 was, so we could see a huge change in June when it releases at WWDC for beta testers typically, and then a final release sometime in September. That seems to be something that I've been expecting for years. It seems long overdue, and we've seen some hints of that with things such as the action button UI that looks completely different than anything else throughout all of iOS, and we're seeing more and more hints of maybe some changes here and there. Yes, we'll get AI, but I expect a major update, hopefully maybe to match and be more consistent with things such as Mac and Apple Vision Pro, with additional depth and some changes throughout. So we could see a new control center and many more changes. Mark has actually said he'll have more details that we'll be sharing a little bit later on. So we have to wait for that. Hopefully we'll see that very soon. He'll probably trickle that out week to week with different details on iOS 18. He's been wrong in the past about certain things, but typically with software, he's spot on. So I would expect a major update this year. We thought it would be last year. That was speculation by other people, but Mark Gurman never actually said that. This year he's saying expect a big update, so I would expect it to be pretty major this time. We could have a March Apple event where we have new iPads, iPad Air, iPad Pro, maybe some others, maybe iPad Mini, as well as new Macs. Mark Gurman also mentioned that the upcoming iPad refresh would begin around late March. In his weekend Bloomburg Power On newsletter, Mark said that Apple would be introducing an iPad Air that's 12.9 inches, like this iPad Pro, which I think is a mistake. I think they need to get rid of iPads. They've got too many of them. But either way, it would have a 10.9 inch and a 12.9 inch option with an M2 chipset. iPad Pro is expected to get the largest update with an 11-inch and 13-inch model that both feature OLED displays. It will add brightness, have better contrast, less power usage, hopefully no PWM, and also have a ProMotion display that can ramp down even further to save more power, maybe 24 or 1 Hz up to 120 Hz. It would have the M3 CPU, as well as MagSafe charging is expected, so you'll be able to maybe charge this wirelessly at some point, and have a new Magic Keyboard with an increased cost. So they don't expect to sell as many apparently, and we're also expecting a new Apple Pencil according to 9to5Mac. The main difference so far is that it would have Find My capabilities. So whether or not it has a little speaker or maybe is just available in Find My, we don't know, but it looks like that could be an upcoming change to it according to 9to5Mac. Also, MacBook Air is expected to get a very small refresh with maybe an M3 CPU. So the 15-inch and 13-inch MacBook Air could bump up from an M2 to an M3 and gain Wi-Fi 6. Or Wi-Fi 6E rather. So we're expecting all of that probably around the end of March, maybe with a different Apple event or possibly a press release. But we do have an Apple event usually in early 2024 or early in every single year. So expect that in just a couple months. Now, as far as iPhone 16, well, there's a little bit to talk about here, where the main camera sensor is said to feature a 12% larger sensor. We knew it was going to get some camera updates, and apparently Apple is really going to focus on the camera this year, and the updated 48-megapixel sensor would have much better dynamic range and noise control. So this would be a much better camera, not only for photos, but also for video if it has better dynamic range and control of noise. So that makes a lot of sense. This is from a reliable Webull user who's actually got a solid track record named Digital Chat Station. So all of those things are expected for iPhone 16, along with a new capture button, which would make sense if they're focusing on the camera, and some new changes as well. However, it's expected to be minor, with the focus being mostly on software with iOS 18. There's also some news about Apple Car, where it's in the works still, but autonomous driving portions of the car have been sort of scaled back. This is again according to Bloomburg, where Apple's not focusing as much on that, but it's still planned, but not until at least 2028, if ever. Whether or not Apple actually releases a car or just works with third-party manufacturers is hard to say, but it looks like they are still working on it. So let me know if you'd be interested in an Apple car in the comments below. And so that's everything this week. We're expecting with iOS 18 so far, a big redesign or a big change, as well as some updated things, but we're looking forward to Apple Vision Pro this Friday. Let me know if you're planning to pick one up or you're interested or not interested. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.